Let me set this up. I like this a little bit better. This way. Look at rotate device back. What the hell? Trying a new format, family. What's happening? Wanted to talk a little bit today. Had to come on the porch. I mean, out here in the car today, man. It's hot as shit on the back of my damn patio. But sun beaming directly. I mean, ain't an ounce of shade on my shit. So I said, let me come to the car. So pardon the hoodness of it. Having me a morning cigar with a. This is I'm smoking a nub latte flavor right now. I'm drinking some. Everybody from the South knows exactly what Milo's is, and got a little bit of a hazelnut moonshine going in here. So drink up to all my tea and coffee and chocolate fans. Shout out to my homeboys overseas, man. I'm gonna send y'all this. So all my tea and biscuit folks. Shout out to y'all. But I wanted to talk to y'all about a couple of things. We were talking yesterday. I saw it all over Facebook. I saw it all over Instagram and Twitter, where everybody's talking about Morgan Freeman all of a sudden now being accused of sexual assault. They got another one. And if you think about the climate that we live in now, you now have two of the probably the most prominent black men besides Denzel now being linked to sexual assault. And I remember during the Bill Cosby trial, I was telling black folks, we have to be careful because with all of the prominent white men that are not even convicted, but there's proof of them assaulting women, they will not punish these men without first attaching a black man to it. And we have to start understanding what climate we are in. No prominent white man will ever be punished without making sure that a black man is side by side. You know, over the weekend, Harvey Weinstein ass was arrested. And they already had their PR, they already had the news out there, they had everybody out there ready to see Harvey, do the perp walk, you know. But notice that as soon as Harvey Weinstein was arrested, who did they throw out? Morgan Freeman. By the time Harvey Weinstein bailed out of jail, they had already threw out Morgan Freeman. It's wake up call for us as black men. It's wake up call to us as a people at this point. I see so many of our black women talking about they won't give Morgan Freeman a pass, and I'm tired of giving black men a pass, and the chickens are coming home to roost. Well, let me start there. To my sisters that are down in the struggle with us, thank you. To my sisters that understand that we live in a 24/7 white supremacy society that does not allow for any black person to be seen or looked at in a positive fashion, thank you. My hat's off to you sisters. Thank you for being in the struggle with us. What's going on, brother? All right. Thank you for being in the struggle with us. We need you. We thank you. And for everything that we are able to rectify in this society, will do nothing but allow us to be able to have blessings together. But let me talk to you, excuse my language, because this is just how we're going to end up having to have some family talk right about now. You know, let me talk to you, bed wenching black women for a minute. Um, it's time out for that. It's time to clean house with you. You no longer will get to straddle the fence anymore. All of this ass kissing and believing whatever the media tells you is the exact same thing that happened when you were on the damn plantation. You sit up in this damn church, you sit up and talk about God and Jesus, and then turn right around and put all your faith and trust in the white man. And this is not hate speech. Shout out to my Caucasian family who know what it really is out here, who are in the struggle with us. This ain't no hate speech. Damn it, let's finally have a conversation here. It's time out for that straddling the fence and thinking that you can, stay on the side of the fence, you know, with white daddy and think you can get all the perks and all the benefits and all the accolades as long as you kiss ass for him and you take up his ideology and you cast your black man out to the sea. Um, your ass got to go. You just gonna have to go. You no longer will be allowed to assimilate into black society because you are a cancer in black society. I talked about the black feminists being one of the most detrimental and toxic um, communities within our society, and it is. We got to understand that black feminists want nothing more than to destroy anything progressive under the umbrella of black society. They hate black women. They hate black men. They despise black men because you probably were one of those sisters that didn't get much holler from the brothers. Brothers probably didn't give you enough play. Or you took on the ideology of the white man, thinking that he's supposed to butter you up and buy you everything and not ever check you and never hold you accountable. And the minute he did that, you left him and then went on to the white side, thinking that white men are more docile and meek and weak. And so now you've taken on their ideology, thinking that black men ain't shit. It's time out for that. And we have to understand that this man wants you to hate your black brother. He wants you to hate your black woman, your sister. And the easiest way that that has been exposed is just the Morgan Freeman and the Bill Cosby situation. We've already talked about Bill Cosby, but let me talk about Morgan Freeman because Morgan is one of these old men that was just like Cosby in a degree where a lot of the older black men have, they've grown up in racism. They grew up through the Jim Crow. They grew up in the civil rights. Um, Morgan is one of those men that not too long ago was one of those pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And he was of the ilk that as long as I'm a black man and I do right and I get an education and I speak well and I steer clear of crime and I'm one of those good Negroes that the dominant society will not come and affect me. I'll always be able to be an honorable black man. And I be damned if you are in your late 70s. How old is Morgan Freeman, by the way? And I'll be damned if Morgan is another one that has just been accused of sexually assaulting women. Shout out to Eddie Griffin, man. Eddie Griffin said, "You don't leave this motherfucker unscathed." You don't leave here clean. In the eyesight of dominant of the white society, man, and white supremacy, they go after dollars and they go after your legacy. They can give a shit about you as a person. They go after your legacy. That's all Bill Cosby's thing was. They wanted to destroy this man's legacy because that is what we hold near and dear as a legacy. When I leave this earth, how will you view me? How will I be mentioned? How will I be looked at and viewed upon by the next generation? And if they can go ahead and remove your importance, because Bill Cosby is our black father, he is our TV dad. He's the one that black people looked at as the the face of what black society should aim to be. You know, successful, educated, family oriented, which is for the most part what black people are about. But of course, you wouldn't think that because of how the media stems it. You know, they make black people look all fucked up. They make it look like all we do is fuss, fight, fuck, do drugs, and don't want to work. And now we got our women out here talking that exact same shit. But Cosby, for the most part, was that man that gave us the luck of ever feeling that way. He gave us that truth, feeling like, you know what? Well, now I see it, I can go achieve that. But Cosby was one of those men too that was pull yourself up by your bootstraps and just do right. And if you pull your pants up, and if you just stop calling your women bitches and hoes, you'll be an honorable black person. And I'd be damned if look at how your ass is being treated. Morgan Freeman did some shit with Don Lemon, or he did something with CNN where he talked about, you know, racism is not what it used to be, and racism at this point is no longer important. The minute we stop talking about racism, I think he said the minute we stop talking about racism is when racism will die. God damn it, if this dog don't stop. Pardon me. If you can look past the dog. But now Morgan Freeman is one of those men that have been accused of sexual assault. And so now you have in a society now they weren't gonna let Morgan get off unscathed. They just weren't. Morgan has, for the most part, been unscathed his entire career. You've never heard Morgan Freeman's name assimilated to anything sexual assault, rape, an asshole, anything like that. But now look at how Morgan Freeman is being viewed at. He getting his Negro wake up call too. So let me talk to you Negroes that feel like as long as I just speak good and do good and I move into a good house and I move out of the ghetto and all of this type shit, that all of a sudden I'll be accepted and, you know, the dominant society will leave me the hell alone and all of that. You're never going to be left alone in the guise of white supremacy. They are teaching you religion under the guise of white supremacy. They are teaching you family and they're teaching you American society under the guise of white supremacy because the truth is, don't nothing get done until they say so. And if you ever think that at the end of the day you will be able to, you know, get a job and put your dollars into your black community, which I am a strong supporter of. I'm about economic empowerment. But if you think for one second that as long as we put our money into our society and build up our community, that all of a sudden white folks gonna leave us the fuck alone. You got another thing coming. It's a car coming, so pardon the you know, the loudness. But you got another thing coming if you think that white people gonna leave you the hell alone because you got a job or because you speak well or because you make money and because you now have a black community. Just look at what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They bombed the shit out of that place. They will fight tooth and nail to see you on the ground. They want you submissive. But Morgan Freeman, I told y'all when they got Bill Cosby, I said that White supremacy loves to attach black people to anything that is dysfunctional, anything that makes us look like um, makes us look like the most degenerate of people. We have now been attached to homosexuality. We are the leading candidates of AIDS. We are now the leading candidates for breast cancer, testicular cancer, heart disease, because our diet is so bad. We are also attached to, we're the face of sexual assault. We're the face of rape. We're the face of murder. We are the face of everything that is dysfunctional within American and just world anything. We're viewed upon as the fucking face of anything ratchet and dysfunctional. And that's our fault. We allow that narrative to be spent and allows us to look that way. I love listening to Tariq Nasheed. I love listening to Brother Polite. I love listening to Dr. Umar Thurman. How you doing, baby? I love listening to Dr. Umar Johnson. Sorry about that. I love listening to Umar Johnson, Tariq, Dr. Frances Cress Wilson. I've read her book, Rest in Peace, Queen. I love listening to Brother Polite. A lot of prominent black Brother Kaba. What's Neely Fuller, Brother Neely Fuller. Um, it's been about 5 years now for me. I'm only, I'm a young buck, but I thank God for bringing a lot of these prominent figures. Asada Shakur, just reading her story of where she came from, and realizing her impact in the civil rights movement back in the day. I thank God for bringing, these types of figures into my life and exposing the truth about this world. What I'll say is that to the Negroes that think that all of these things will go away when you leave, white folks will leave you alone, when all of a sudden you start making better money, start thinking that as long as I make better money and all of this, that they'll leave me alone. You got another thing coming, man. This world wants to see you fail. They want you to be in the bottom. It's never gonna happen in that sense until we take. It's never gonna one through economic empowerment. What the hell is going on with that? Why is my shit not sitting there? Let me see if that works. What up, son?
No, I was asking if me and you could go to the store to get some oil.
Alright. We'll do it.
Okay.
Got my big boy out here. We gotta go to the grocery store. I'm gonna end this on this note. I'm gonna do another one a little bit later, man. There's a lot of noise. I apologize for all of the noise that was out here, but I will say this, black people, it's time. It's time for us to stop. It's time for us to take our narratives back. Our sisters, please stop believing and letting this world tell you what your black man is all about. You're with us. You can no longer let, what's up, son? You good? You can no longer, come here. You can no longer live in this world thinking that that white man got your back. You can no longer live in a world that tells you that interracial marriage is the best way to go because your black man ain't shit. Shout out to my couples that are, married, interracially. I'm down with you. Um, but we no longer can sit back and think that, like Morgan Freeman and Bill Cosby, that as long as I'm making money, that these things are going to go away and I'll be able to assimilate into white society. It doesn't happen that way. You have to expect that everything that we do are going to be looked at and viewed upon as negative. And if they can't find anything on you, then they'll just create it. And that is exactly what happened with Morgan Freeman. This man is being accused of sexual assault by looking at a woman up and down like that. And you black women are out here talking about, well, he getting what he get. All right. For your cause, let's see if we don't have any empathy for you. That would never happen. You see what I'm saying? So you can't straddle that fence no more. And we as black people are now getting our Negro wake-up call. I love y'all, man.